Welcome everyone, my name is Cristina and I'm a computer science student and language learning enthusiast. This is my first video ever and I will show you the note types that I use on Anki to learn languages. I will try to make this video as short as possible and show you all of the note types and that can be useful in your language learning process. Shared texts are handy and useful, but I believe that the most efficient way of using Anki is by creating your own cards from scratch. When they come from your favorite resources like books, music or memes, they will be much more sticky and fun to practice. I also recommend creating as many note types as necessary, even if you use the same note types for different languages. You can call them EnglishType, EnglishReverse, GermanType, GermanReverse. These are the note types that we'll see. I apologize for the simple approach that I've taken for the presentation. They are divided in vocabulary, simple, which are the closest to the note types that you can find by default on Anki, or maybe note types that you can download as an add-on. You have derivative, which are based on the simple types but not quite the same. Specific, and these types may vary depending on the language that you are learning and the level that you have in that language. The ones, for example, are useful for an English C1 level. I might make a future video for specific languages, discussing the type notes that I consider the most appropriate for every language. Fun. These are the ones that I consider the most fun to make and review. And get shared, which are the cards that I recommend not to make on your own because they are the longest of them all to create and they are really useful. There are really useful texts available online. For every note type I will show you the fields that I recommend, but feel free to fill with as many fields as you consider. Let's start with the nouns that I have here. Here I have the fields. First, we would need the source language, like your native language. Then this field may vary depending on the language that you are learning, because for example in German, French, Spanish and Italian it might be useful because the words have genders, so it might be useful to remember the gender. I would recommend to use the article that they use for each gender. For example, here I have it in German. Then you will have the word in the targeted language, which is in this case is German. Then you will have the plural form, the pronunciation. Maybe you might want to have an audio file and also the international phonetic, the writing in the international phonetic alphabet, and a funny association, so like a memory trick to remind that word. For example, if you want to remember glove in German, which is Handschuh, you will try to remember that it's like the shoe of a hand or something like that, something funny. I have forgotten it here, but it will be also useful to add a picture, so it's more visual than the card. Next note, we have numbers. numbers, I have them here. Specifically for the numbers, I have the number in that language, the number in your native language, number in your targeted language written in letters, and a picture that might be to make them more visual. Yeah, I think that's all. Oh, also, you might want to make this field, you might want to make it type, so you have to actually type the number and not only remember it. And maybe it will be useful pronunciation, but not so sure about that. Also, for the picture, it's always, I recommend this for every picture, to click on the remember last input when adding, because it's much simpler to have to delete an image than have to take that image again. So always check this box. Verbs, have them here as well. Here, pretty much like the nouns, this is like a simplification of the nouns. I think that all of the vocabulary types can be derivated from the noun type because they have less things. Maybe in the verbs you will, apart for every of these things, you might want to have maybe another type for irregular verbs and things like that, whatever you need. In vocabulary I have only these 3 types, but I haven't yet needed any more, but the more the better. So maybe for adjectives, for prepositions, for everything, I would make a new note type for every of these ones, for every vocabulary group. Then we have the simple ones, which are the ones that come from Anki, so I will not get into much discussion, but something that I have added here is that you should add a picture, because it makes them much more visual and easy to remember. And I didn't used to put pictures, but it's a really game changer, so I highly recommend. For example, yeah, it's for the reverse here, you might want to have this is a very abstract type that you can use for pretty much every word, even if you don't have it if you don't have a vocabulary type yet. Very useful. Also, you might want to make it into a type for the vocabulary that you are learning, and yeah, add the picture. Really useful. I will check this. Really useful. Also, close type. Oh, yeah. Type. Always make them type. When you are learning a language, maybe not for your native language, if you have the word in the targeted language, you don't want to write that word in your native language, but for when it's the opposite, when you have to remember the word in the targeted language, make sure that you have to type it, because it will be much better, even if it's a really simple word. Type it. Yeah, part of typing on pictures, that's all you need to know. You can use all the note types that are available on Anki. I just put here 3. Image occlusion. This is quite different from the others because it's an add-on. If you don't have it already, I highly recommend to, after this video, you can go search it up. It's really useful. Highly recommend it. Derivative. Here we have acronyms, definitions, and mistakes. Acronyms. Let's see what we have. Here. Yeah, we have the acronym, the meaning, and the picture. And you just want to have. I will also add maybe another field for context, because sometimes acronyms are all over the place in every field, and they might mean different things in different contexts. So yeah, maybe in the acronym you can add manually the context, or I will also suggest, maybe I will do that for myself, to add context field. Definitions. This one is specifically useful. I use this one for myself, not to remember tricky vocabulary, but to remember how to spell it. If you have problems spelling words, this is very, very useful. You have the definition. Maybe here you can even, a part of the definition, which I would recommend to use the definition in that language if you have the level already, but you can also put it in your native language as well. Here, the word that you're going to have to type, an example of that word, which is useful when you're using this note type when the word is tricky, and a picture. Yeah, so this is template that is really useful when the word is tricky or you want to know how to spell it. You can also use the reverse, but I think that when you have a more advanced level, maybe over V2, you want to remember the word by the definition in that same language, not using your own language, which is useful as well, but sometimes you have to advance. Mistakes. Let's see. This one is for when you make mistakes in your essays. You know what they say, that you learn from your mistakes and stuff like that. It's really true. Whenever you write an essay and your teacher hands you the answer of that essay, make sure that you save all those mistakes, because to make sure that you don't make them again. So in the question you can put a screenshot maybe or a picture of the essay that is corrected. Maybe it's not an essay, maybe it's just your spell checker, whatever. Whenever you have something that you have written and it's corrected, you can put it in here. Then you type what you should have written, and then an explanation of why it is that way, why you made the mistake and why you are writing it in the new way. Also, it's a plus to put a picture in the question. because it's much more visual. You will remember the moment when you made the mistake, you will remember the context in which you made the mistake, maybe the words of your teacher, which is, it's much better for the memory to put a picture than just plain text. Now we change for the specifics. This will change, as I said, this might change if you are studying French, German, Italian, whatever you are studying. I'm not sure if every language has binomials, or if every language has idioms or phrasal verbs. French definitely doesn't have phrasal verbs. So I will, let's see a few of these ones, the ones that I see binomials, for example. No, let's see the idioms. Because I think idioms are the most common in other languages. Let's see it in German. So you want to have the idiom in that language, then you will translate that into its literal meaning, because idioms, the thing that they have is that they use different words to express one thing. They don't use the words that they want to actually express, so they have like two meanings, what they literally translate to and the actual meaning. So you have those two. Maybe if you are too advanced in the language, you will only feel the literal field when it's a complicated when it has difficult word that you don't know the meaning. But otherwise you will just leave this blank and you will remove those cards with the empty card remover. As I said, always a picture. Don't forget the picture. I think we're going to skip to the fun, because I don't think these are useful unless you are learning English. Memes. I like these ones. Here you have the this is basically just reverse noteType, but you are just implying that it has to be made with a meme. So you put the word that you learned in that language, then you put its meaning if you're in your native language. Jane is spelled here. Also, English is not my native language, as you might guess already. And the picture, which is the meme in this case. It's just a reverse, but it's just specifying that you are learning from a meme. I wouldn't take the remember last input when adding here, because maybe from one meme, how many words you actually learn from one meme? Maybe just one word, or if you're learning more than one word from a meme, you are not actually understanding that meme. So yeah, I will one word per meme. I recommend. Music. Music. This is noteType that I'm trying to make an add-on from. But yeah, let's discuss this. If you don't have that add-on that I'm creating, you will have the lyrics in the language, extract of the lyrics. Then in your native language, you also want to add the singer, so you can find the cards in the browser, the song, so you can find in the browser as well, and a picture, always really useful. Yeah, maybe here it's useful to tweet this. Slang, so really fun because they always have obscure meanings. Yeah, this is a basic as well, but just implying that you are getting it from slang. And the one that I would recommend you to get shared are the International Phonetic Alphabet, because you need a lot of pictures, a lot of noises, yeah, a lot of sounds, and it's better to get them from the internet. And geography, because as well you need a lot of pictures, specific pictures coloring the region and things like that. For example, this one.
Cook Islands.
You need a lot of pictures for flags, for countries as well. This is a bad example. French. Never mind. This was my first video ever. Please leave your comments and let me know what you thought. First off, I apologize for the static background and my accent. I have so much to learn about video editing, recording and pronunciation, and your comments will help me a lot to focus on the things that are the most urgent. So again, thank you very much for your view. I'll wait for your comment. Goodbye.